Welcome to the Liberty Nation Roundtable, where our topic today is the Italian elections. With the results now in from Italy, this may not seem like a big deal to many of our American viewers on Liberty Nation, but there are implications. Joining me today from parts unknown in Europe is Onar Am, also my better half, Tim Donner, and finally, our political correspondent here in the U.S., Graham Noble. I'm Lisa K. Donner. Onar, let's begin with you. What are the implications for this, and why is it important to the U.S.?
First, this is correctly characterized as an anti-establishment election. There were two major anti-establishment parties that grew and have a total of majority, and it's a rejection of the EU essentially, and also of the late immigration policies, because Italy has been hit the hardest when it comes to the migrant wave from North Africa, and Italians are tired of it and they want to end it. The EU is not happy about it, but it seems like Italy is standing up.
Now, Tim, we've seen a more populist trend over the last couple of years in Europe and, of course, American politics. First, what do you think is behind this? And more importantly, how do you see this being projected into the future?
Well, clearly the migrant issue is the defining issue of this election, which the New York Times, of all places, called a throw the bums out election. Not dissimilar to the Brexit vote, although, of course, those were not national elections. That was a referendum, but the spirit of it was exactly the same. There was a sense that populist wave that was heading across Europe had slowed down with the Dutch elections and the French elections. But I think that that storyline has changed now with these Italian elections, where a clearly populist anti-immigrant sentiment drove the voters to throw the bums out. And I think you can also see in Germany, where a far-right party did better in the last German elections than any time since World War II, as further evidence of the fact that Europeans are finding their own way of saying we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
Graham, one of the key questions many will be asking themselves is, how is this shock election result going to impact the EU? And more specifically, does this spell the end of the globalist protection racket that the EU embodies?
Well, I think the idea of actually defeating globalism itself is a pretty that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, it has become so pervasive, hence the name globalism. That's a very difficult thing to roll back. But I think this Italian election is just is saying it's like the Trump election. It's like Brexit. It's really a pushback. I think there's a little people conflate the terms nationalism and populism, and I think either of those terms can be interpreted in different ways. But certainly, this kind of nationalist stroke populist movement was inevitable as a reaction to this globalist kind of multicultural push to diminish the very idea of nation states.
Onar, what about the demographics here? Pollsters and the leftist media in the U.S. love to examine who is voting for which candidate, which age group they belong to, race, gender, etc. Are there any key points we can see in this election demographically?
There are no clear trends. For instance, the Five Star Movement, which ran on a fairly right-wing, like Trump-like platform, still was able to catch a lot of votes in the South, which is traditionally quite left-leaning, by promising them higher minimum support for poor people. So it's all over the place. It just seems like all of Italy, they are just tired of this. I mean, if we look at the numbers, 70% voted for right-wing parties. It's like a total elimination of the left. So it's pretty much everyone.
All right, open forum, gentlemen, who's got something they just have to get off their chest?
I think we see with what Onar said, we see the death of traditional political parties in Europe. And you can even see that in France, where the new president Macron started his own party and 1 year later was able to win a national election. People are rejecting the traditional parties in Europe the same way that they are in the US, where neither Republicans nor Democrats are popular at all. It's all become a matter of which is the lesser of the two evils. And that answer generally changes, as you can see, from electing Barack Obama in 2008 and then electing his polar opposite, Donald Trump, in 2016.
All right, Graham, we're going to give you the last word.
Yeah, well, really, Tim kind of nailed it in a way. This, you know, you look at particularly in terms of U.S. politics, where the actual platform of both of the two main parties is becoming very vague. Particularly the Democrats seem to no longer have any platform whatsoever. They flail around looking for issues to campaign on, which is why that they don't want to solve the immigration problem, and I don't believe they really want to solve the gun control problem either, because they need these issues to shout about in elections. The Republicans, you know, Trump really changed the Republican brand, and I think it's hard in the system in the United States for new parties to get a foothold, because there is so much money involved in American elections. But nevertheless, certainly from an ideological point of view, the Republicans and the Democrats are going the same way as these traditional European parties, that they're starting to have to fight for survival.
Alrighty, thank you, gentlemen. Onar Am, Tim Donner, and Graham J. Noble. Read their fine articles on libertynation.com, and don't forget, now with the click of a button, you can listen to all the top conservative news stories of the day. For everyone here in the roundtable, I'm Lisa K. Donner, and this is LNTV.